G'day YouTube, Warbles on a lot here. One of the funny things about living in a lawn locker in the forest is that when your fully grown offspring decides to come home and live for a while and save a bit of money, they don't get to live in a basement. They get to dwell in a tent. A decision and a choice which has turned out to have been really excellent. Four years and 4 months it took of living in a tent to save on the rent, to finish up with somewhere better to reside. So now I've got empty tent syndrome. And job one is to try and remember how I put this together. Mounted on the roof rack of a 1960 FB Holden. And disconnect it all without making any sparks. And move the electrical system which runs the refrigerator and the inverter and the battery graph with which Warbles on a lot explainificated batteries to his daughter when she commenced to live in a 6-metre diameter Karma canvas tent, which finally eventually developed a hole but has not yet fallen down. It was an inspired brainwave which has served her well, in my opinion. And I fought and won the final battle of this little bloody stove with its tiny, weeny 50mm 2-inch paper thin stainless steel flue. The cold air outside the tiny weeny little tube used to chill the exhaust gases and precipitate out all creosote which grew in crystals in from the edges of the walls. And I used to have to try and take the bloody thing down in order to clean it, because you can't get up to the top of the flue on a tent. However, Our child was working away 10 days off back before Friday. I knew this thing was clogged, I knew it was going to be cold, and I had a bit of a brainy of the wave. A trampoline spring and a 3-wire high tensile aluminium cable. So on Friday before she arrived, I managed to poke clear the creosote on the holes under the Chinaman's hat and sweep the chimney. So for a last night in the tent, the fire was functional. Whoever would have thought that a Karma tent would last 3.5 years with a fly over it, go through a fly every year, and then live for 1 year more after that fly fell to pieces. I never would have believed it myself, but yeah, that's how long a 6-metre bell tent has been known to function. in continuous use. 1,111 metres above sea level. While something better was appearing. As I recall it, living in the tent saved my daughter from paying $11,000 a year in rent. But maybe my memory is faulty. Anyway, empty tent syndrome. Now I've got to move the electrical system. Warbles on a lot to YouTube. Ciao.